In this video, we're going to go ahead and install the Intel TextureWorks for Photoshop. Now, in the video description, you should be able to see a link to Intel TextureWorks plugin for Photoshop. Go ahead and select that link. It'll bring you to this page. In the upper right-hand corner, you want to click the Downloads zip. Go ahead and click that, and you can go ahead and click Open With. And I'll go ahead and open it up. Now, what I'm looking for inside this archive is I go to plugins. Now, you have two options here. You have the 64-bit version of Photoshop or you have the 32-bit version of Photoshop. So depending on which version of Photoshop you have installed, in my case is 64-bit, I'm going to go ahead and choose the 64-bit plugin here. So this is what I want right here. Now, I'm going to minimize my browser. You need to open up a window and you need to find your Adobe Photoshop CS6 installation. If you did 32-bit, it'll be in the CS6. If you did 64-bit, it'll be in the 64-bit. And then you want to find the plugins folder, and you just want to drag this right here. As you can see, I've already done this. I'm just going to do it again. I'll just drag it in there, replace the file. So you can see I'm using the same one as you, and it should be right here inside the plugins folder. All right, so I'll go ahead and close this out, and I'm going to test this out to make sure it installed correctly. So I'll go ahead and open up my Photoshop CS6 64-bit, give it a moment to load. Once Photoshop is done loading, what you want to do is go to that Fallout 4 mod tuts folder where you extracted the textures in a previous video. When we extracted the archive, you extracted some textures. Go ahead and go to Textures, Actors, Bloatfly, so we can run a quick test to make sure it installed correctly. I want you to go ahead and select the bloatfly_in.dds. I want you to just drag that into Photoshop. It'll say this file contains bitmaps. Load bitmaps into separate layers. I'm going to go ahead and select no. And if this pops up and you can see this, then you have actually installed the Intel TextureWorks. So now we know that this works, and we can also test it. We'll go to File, Save As, and we're just going to save to the desktop as bloatfly_in.dds, and you want to go to Format, drop this down, and select Intel TextureWorks. Okay, if you see this, what you're not looking for D3D DDS. If you see this, that's NVIDIA's plugin. That does not work for us. What we want is the Intel TextureWorks plugin. Go ahead and select that and click Save. Now it's going to say, how do you want to save this? And if you see this folder, you know now it's Intel TextureWorks. You know it's installed correctly. Go ahead and drop this down, and we want to say normal map. It says what format? BC5. We'll go ahead and leave everything else as is. Now go ahead and click OK. Now on the desktop, you can see it's saved, and I'll go ahead and just drag this in here and see if it's saved correctly. In fact, I probably want to close that. Drag it in here and say no again, and there it is. So now we know that we can work with the BC5 format, so we can work with the textures that Fallout 4 uses. And believe it or not, this is a standard normal map. It's just a black blue channel. So if I go to channels, blue, switch to white, hit Alt Delete, go back to RGB, looks like a regular normal map. So in the next video, we're going to go ahead and install a material editor. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post below the video, and click subscribe to follow us on YouTube.